Was it just to kill a woman who was a slave who had 2 sons because she insulted somebody?
Sorry?
Is that just?
Well, what is determining justice or not justice again is the constitution or the law. For example, if I'm living in this country...
Can you please explain to me how it's just to kill a slave who has 2 kids?
Let me finish.
Justice?
Let me finish.
Yep.
But you're both broke. What does that matter?
Doesn't matter.
Let me finish. If I am living in any country, okay, and I'm living by the constitution of this country, okay, suppose that I committed any action, okay, so according to my action, we need to go for a reference to check it to see whether this action is okay or not okay with the constitution. And based on this, if I'm going to face a judgment, like I would say, okay, oh, this is just or this is unjust based on the law and the constitution of the country. I cannot say, for example, if the judge give me a punishment, okay, and say, oh, you're going to be punished for your X action, okay, I cannot say to him, oh, this is unjust. I need to have a reference to tell him this is unjust because the law is saying this action is okay. Yeah, this is the point.
When the man killed his slave mother, what law was there about killing your slave mother?
The man didn't kill his slave without a reason. The reason that she was trying to abuse.
Wait a
and
second.
She was abusing,
so
actually,
what
the
law was around at the time that said that? Because don't forget, when Muhammad asked him who did it, he gets up and he's shaking because he's afraid. If he knew, hold on, if he knew, exactly, this is a crime.
Yes.
If he knew that he was justified in killing his slave mother for insulting Muhammad, he wouldn't be shaking.
Let me give you another argument.
Hold on a second, wait a second. So my point remains, was there a law at the time that stipulated that insulting Muhammad would warrant you being killed?
Okay, let me give another argument. Yes, of course there is.
Wait, okay, hold on.
There is a hadith.
Show me evidence for that.
I will show you. There is a Sahih Hadith and we can check it here, okay? That the Prophet ﷺ, there was a man who's like saying poetry, okay, against the Prophet ﷺ and insulted him and said a lot of awful things about him, okay? So the Prophet ﷺ gave a permission for this man to be killed because he was accusing the Prophet ﷺ at the time.
That was the conquest of Medina. Yes, sorry, of Mecca.
Okay, and who was trying actually to gather the people because poetry at this time was a tool to motivate people for the war and so on. So he was considered to be like a leader who's triggering people to kill the Prophet ﷺ. So the Prophet said his blood is okay. This is okay. So a man who's insulted the Prophet.
So wait a second.
No.
Wait a
You're
second.
asking me, it's my turn to ask
no,
you.
wait a second.
It's my turn to ask
you just made a claim.
I have an argument.
You said that there was an individual who was trying to inspire other people to kill Muhammad.
Yes, by words.
Was the woman doing this?
Yes, abusing and...
Wait, no. Where does it say that she was inspiring others to kill Muhammad?
She was abusing him.
So she was disparaging him to the blind man.
Slandering him and she was abusing
to the
him.
blind man, not to anybody else.
Come on.
So I think it is very different from inspiring somebody. And by the way, the other poet wasn't a slave, was he?
Sorry?
The other poet that you mentioned wasn't a slave.
Even if he's not a slave,
okay.
You give me the law if
so
insulting the Prophet
don't forget,
is like to be
you're running away from your point.
No,
so there's 2 things here.
Can I ask a question?
Well, you can after I summarize.
You cannot jump.
But then you still haven't answered my main question.
You cannot jump.
So I have to make my point and then reiterate my question.
No, 2 points.
So it's as follows.
With all due respect.
You made a claim that in Islam you have to treat your slaves very nicely. But then I showed you a Sahih Hadith where you can kill your slave.
No,
and your rationale for that is, there was a guy who was attempting to summon people to kill Muhammad using his words. And therefore, because that guy could be killed, so can this woman? First of all, it is not the same. The woman in no way was inspiring others to kill Muhammad. She had a personal grudge against him and shared that with her slave master husband guy. He killed her for it without realizing that there was a law allowing him to do so.
It is the same
so any claim you make,
my enemies here and slaughter them. So
that is not the same because there were no enemies brought before Jesus and slaughtered.
Come on,
what
come on.
you are,
Let me finish.
no, you're running here.
No,
You're
I'm
running
I'm
here.
running.
You
I'm
are
running.
because
I wanna
what you
make
have
an
failed to
argument here.
prove.
No,
Hold
you're
on a
running.
second. What you failed to prove is that number
I
one,
didn't feel anything.
you failed. Here's what you failed in. Two things. Number one, you have failed to prove that you are owed or in any way stipulated to treat your slaves humanely. They're expendable for any reason, including insulting a guy, which is insane. Now, that's one thing. Number two, slavery has never been abrogated because abrogation involves a law either removing something to replace it with something like it or something better. There's nothing in the Quran that is like or better than owning slaves. So it is still active today.
Have you finished?
And my last point, you still have not answered my question.
point now?
My question remains. Well, I made 2 points on my question. My question remains. If as a Muslim, you have to submit to everything that Muhammad says, when he gives you permission to do evil like that, are you to submit to it as well?
Okay. Can I finish? Can I answer now? Don't interrupt me, okay? So when you are saying something is evil, okay, evil according to what? This is the first point. When we're speaking about moral or immoral, we need to have a source, which should be a divine source, an objective source, to justify the action whether it's moral or immoral, okay? I gave you the verse in the Quran, which is the constitution for the Muslims, which is saying that وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ إِلَّا عَلَى أَزْوَاجِهِمْ أَوْ مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانَهُمْ فَإِنَّهُمْ غَيْرُ مَلُومِينَ فَمَنِ ابْتَغَى وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْعَادُونَ. So the verse is saying clearly that those who are practicing intimacy or those who are keeping their private parts except for their wives or their right hand wishes, and the one who is exceeding this, they are transgressors, and this is the definition of adultery according to Islam. When men are doing this, they are adulterous, okay? This is the point number one. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he, as you, according to what you said, is given a legitimacy to practice this, is not asking anyone to commit an evil, okay? This is a legitimate thing to do, which was practiced either in the Old Testament by all the prophets. They had more than a wife. They had actually right-hand bosses as well. Second point is that you cannot again bring the current or contemporary law and reflect it back, committing a fallacy of presentism. Why? Because you are bringing the new laws and saying, oh, let's reflect it back to the past, and this is immoral. No, it's not immoral. Third point is that according to our contemporary time, all the Muslims in the world are abided by the law that, according to the Human Rights Resolution, that slavery is forbidden. Therefore, Allah told us, all believers fulfill the contracts. So this contract or this law is going to be fulfilled as long as the contract is valid. So we're not allowed to slave people, okay? We're not allowed to practice any action of abuse or whatever you mentioned before, because again, the Prophet ﷺ, it's none of your business. I'm talking to him. I'm talking to him. Come and
I agree.
Don't stand there and lay.
No,
come and disprove it.
I'll retaliate.
Come and disprove it. Take
I'll
your turn.
retaliate.
Take your turn.
I'll retaliate.
Come and take your turn. Come and take your turn.
Islam is perfect.
Come and
Islam
take
never
your
had
turn.
slavery.
Come and
Islam
take
has
your
slavery
turn. Come and take your turn. So the
I
Prophet
will tell you.
ﷺ, before he died, he said that as-salatu as-salah, the prayer, and then he said, fear Allah in your right hand, which is another hadith in Sahih Al-Bukhari. He said that when Abu Zar came to him, he gave him an advice. He said that you shall never harm your servant or you shall never harm your slave. You should feed him from the same food that you're eating. You shall give him the same shelter, the same clothes, and never burden him of a task that he cannot bear. And if you burden him of a hard task, you must participate in it. So this is the definition according to Islam.
Can I say something? How many wars did Muhammad fight? How many wars did he wage?
Sorry?
How many wars did Muhammad wage? Start. How many wars?
How many wars?
Yeah.
Is a war of justice or in a war? No, because look, we have to be specific here.
Around
War of
70.
justice, or fair, or war for money.
Whether you want to say 10,
No, war for
20,
money. War for money.
My understanding is around 70.
My apologies.
No,
Do you mind if I finish off and then you can have them?
No, I did ask. I came in and made a signal, so I thought you gave me the go ahead.
I need to respond to his points before he runs away.
Right?
No, I'm not going to run away.
Well,
You
I'll
can run
just
away,
finish
not
off
me.
by saying in those times when they were waging wars and fighting, one of the things they always did was take the spoils of war. And Muhammad did that.
I agree.
Which includes slaves.
I agree.
Which
We're not denying
slaves.
this.
So you can't
This
say
was an
Muhammad
action. I
never
didn't
took
say.
slaves.
I didn't say that. It was an action was practiced by all the empires at this time. This was an action practiced. And by the way, the Prophet ﷺ, when the people didn't take slaves from Muslim in the war, the Prophet didn't actually take sabi or slaves from them. Read about this. I'm not denying this. This was an action practice at this time.
No worries.
You need to also focus. Okay, once that action's been taken, right? Because you said they take the booty of war, right?
The spoils of
slaves.
war.
Yeah.
Okay, but
It was action
have you
practiced
looked
by
into
both
how we
sides.
treated the slaves as well? Or
Yeah,
how they took-
they'd kill them whenever they wanted. This is like I showed you.
Whenever they want.
Yeah, like I showed you.
Come on, man.
They-
Come on, man.
they-
You are
they-
in-
they-
you are
they-
just genuine,
they-
honestly.
they-
of Islam.
Well, no,
How
just
can
because
you
you
say that?
just because you
How
insult
can
somebody doesn't mean you're an enemy.
Say that we need to look at how they.
Yeah, but we
Okay, what-
Islam said the abuse was verbal, not physical.
We need to look at how
According to them, Islam is
Muhammad
perfect. Islam has
treated
no
the
faults with
slaves.
it.
Horribly.
And so
Of course it's perfect, yeah.
what I want to highlight.
Hey, does it hurt you? Does it hurt you that Islam is perfect?
What
I know
want
it
to
hurts.
highlight.
If it was perfect, then you
You're
wouldn't find so many holes in it.
How did the question is how did Muhammad treat the slaves?
Not good.
In a very noble way.
No.
What
Show me an
What
example.
I want to
I
point
showed you.
out
Well, what you got, Bilal?
I showed
Is that all you got?
I showed you.
when if
Yeah,
if
but-
the
Sahih Bukhari.
Quran,
You can't actually find him doing it.
Quran says about, let's say, Christians and Jews says they are pigs and dogs and don't befriend
it didn't
them.
say that.
It says about
It says that what's the Christians?
Take them to the highest part of the building and throw them off.
Wait,
Talk about
wait.
strike
Wait.
off every fingertip of them.
You're jumping,
if
my
he's
friend.
writing that, how is that the mind of a person who would treat slaves justly? You can't write those things, put them in the Quran, and at the same time say the writer, the person who wrote it, is a just person
Okay.
who treats slaves
Okay.
with respect.
According to
That
our
doesn't
contemporary
make
time,
I'm
here's
gonna have to jump back in, if
Here
you
is
don't
the law.
mind.
Sorry.
No, if the law right now, okay, is condemning raping, for example, okay, right, and giving a critical punishment for a rapist, right?
For rapists.
For a rapist, yeah. And if there is a criminal who's committing a crime, it's giving him a severe punishment as well, right? A murderer or like I said, a serial killer or whatever, right? The same law is speaking about like very noble things, right? It's the same law. So the law can speak about the crime and punishment. I can speak at the same time about good thing. So why are you conflating two terms here? The Islam, when it's speaking about like dealing with slaves, it's speaking about dealing with them in a good way. But the things that you mentioned, like which is a part of the penal code, under some circumstances, okay, under some conditions, are going to be applied according to these conditions. So why are you conflating these two terms here? Because Islam does have penal codes, therefore it's bad. It shouldn't actually give the people advice to deal with their servants in a good way.
So
what is the correlation
my turn. So for a person that accuses me of committing a fallacy of presentism,
Yeah, exactly.
this guy loves mentioning modern laws, which by the way, I haven't
give him an
mentioned
example.
a single one yet.
I give him an
So
example.
by telling me that I'm committing a fallacy of presentism, he's not actually substantiating his point, because I have yet to quote a single law from any time period beyond the time of Jesus, when he said one man, one woman. So him spamming presentism is because that's the only fallacy he knows. He doesn't know any others.
I made a question
calm down.
before. I asked you
No,
that question.
go back. Calm
And
down.
I
It's
asked
my
you to
turn.
bring one verse
You
from the New
are
Testament that said that a
currently
man is limited
you are
to marry
currently
one woman.
interrupting me.
One single
So
verse.
next time you're speaking,
Okay, go ahead.
I'll interrupt
No,
you.
okay, go
Okay?
ahead.
So, number one, I am not committing a fallacy of presentism. You are. Now, number two, you still have not proven the fact that you are allowed to treat your slave however you want. Because regardless of what Muhammad said, in practice that is not what he even allowed or established. All of his slaves were treated poorly. Everything from the 2 black slaves he sold for 1 Muslim slave to the Habesha slave that drank his urine from under his bed, everything to that slave woman who was insulting him, and he allowed her to be killed. The example you gave for why it's okay to kill people who insult Muhammad is not in any way comparable. If one man was inspiring others to kill him and one woman was insulting him in the privacy of her own home, and both people are committed to death for what they have done, it is very clear that what they have done and how they're being punished is incredibly unequal. The Quran tells you that if you kill one person, it's like you kill the entirety of humankind. Now, while that verse is something that Allah apparently gave to the children of Israel, and not actually apply to Muslims in any way, it is still something that you guys quote to claim that that is how you should deal with those, or deal with human beings in general. If she is killed for comments that she has made, that is in no way just. And now you are bound to follow this because Muhammad allowed it. Now, when you say that we have to get morality from a divine source, if your divine source is telling you things like kill people who insult a man, or that you can sleep with your slave and commit them to prostitution, I don't care how divine that source is, the rationale of a human being and the law of God written on the hearts of men, as the Bible tells us, automatically see those things as repugnant. So if your divine source is telling you to be immoral, maybe your divine source is wrong, or the source itself isn't divine. Whatever we receive from God, we have to still be able to rationalize these things. Otherwise, there is no point following it. And by extension, everybody that follows the religion, no matter how absurd it is, as long as they believe it is divine, they don't have to actually use any rational faculties to contemplate on what they're being told in that religion. So when you're asking me, what is the standard by which we judge good? Well, we judge the standard by God, yes. But God being good implies that we should wish the best for everybody else. So when we want to do good or promote good, we want the other person receiving the good to benefit from what is being given in the greatest way possible. With that definition, willing the good for the other person and the good being God, is it a good thing to sleep with a slave? No. It is not willing God for that person.
Okay. So like now, at the beginning of our conversation, I mentioned many important figures in your traditions and my traditions. We're speaking about the Prophet Abraham, we're speaking about the Prophet David, we spoke about the Prophet Israel, okay, multiple times. All of them, they had more than one wife, and all of them had like female slave, as you are claiming to be, okay? So, are you saying that those prophets were immoral while they were receiving revelation from God, okay? And the God, according to you, is Jesus. So Jesus was allowing them to perform immorality and spread immorality at this time. Answer me, please.
You gave me 3 examples. With Abraham, Abraham was given a slave girl by his wife to father a child.
Yes.
So is that a moral thing
Did he
to
sleep
do?
with her and have a son from her or not?
That did indeed happen.
To be roasted now.
Sure thing. So now, at the time when breathe.
And he got a son from her.
Breathe. At the time when this happened, was this what God had instructed him to do? Breathe. When this happened, is this
Finished.
Breathe.
Done.
Breathe. When this happened, is this what God instructed him to do? No. God told him that he would have a child with Sarah, his wife, not with anybody else. So Abraham here directly disobeys God to seek favor.
Abraham was
Breathe. Abraham intentionally disobeys God to seek favor with his wife. Disobeying God in that sense is a sin, so that action is immoral. Ding! Number 1.
No.
Breathe.
Wait,
Number
wait.
two. You gave 2 examples. You gave 2. You have to remember everything I said. Number 2. You have Jacob before he is Israel. Before he is Israel.
Okay.
Jacob flees to his uncle Laban, fearing his brother killing him for stealing his birthright. He wants to marry the younger daughter. He is tricked by his uncle.
How old was she?
Calm down.
How old was she?
I have no idea. No, it wasn't Rebecca. Calm down. It wasn't Rebecca. Calm down. He is tricked by his uncle into marrying the older daughter because the uncle tells him that in the tradition, the older daughter gets married first. He has to then work 7 additional years to marry the daughter who he truly wants. At this time, he is not a follower of God. In fact, whenever he refers to God as my father's God and not my God. So yes, when he marries the two sisters, they also have him have intercourse with their slaves to have more children. Was he following God at this time? No.
How do you know?
Because
How do you know?
Because this is before.
How do you know?
Breathe.
How do you
this
know?
breathe. This is before he encounters God.
You know what
Breathe,
you're doing.
breathe,
You know what
breathe.
you're doing.
I am telling
Well,
you the answer. Breathe, and I'm
Oh,
telling you the answer. Breathe, breathe. Exhale, exhale. I have one example left. So, how do I know he wasn't following God? You gave me 3 examples, and I am giving you the explanation behind all of them, okay? Now you can respond to me when you're ready. So, was this done before or after he started following God? It was done before. His name was still Jacob and not Israel, meaning struggling with God. He goes through a struggle with God, then follows him after this. So, my last example, David. Like I told you before, Deuteronomy 17:17 says what? Do not multiply wives amongst the two leaders of Israel. So in taking on more than one wife, he is already disobeying God and the order in Deuteronomy. Additionally, as you're aware, even Maududi mentions this, relating to Surah Sa'd, Surah 38, referring to David. David intentionally has his best friend killed to take his wife. That is immoral, and God punishes him for that. So, every example you gave, everything those men did was immoral. But the difference between your religion and mine is we won't sit here and tell you those things were moral. We would admit that they were immoral, but also showcase you the power of forgiveness that God can establish towards these men. So the men are not perfect, but God is. Okay? There you go. Now that I've answered that question, my point still remains. What will you do when you are being told to submit to a man who is having you do things that are immoral, like slavery and adultery?
Well, again, you are a person who is like manipulating all the audience here by choosing.
By speaking.
Yeah, choosing like a figure,
I'm good at
like
it.
the Prophet Abraham, peace be upon him, and
you
saying,
chose them. You chose them, not me. You chose them, not me.
Yeah? By saying that the Prophet Abraham was immoral person while he was receiving revelation from God at this time. All the
he
people,
received revelation,
no, wait.
and he ignored it.
I didn't cut
Yeah,
you.
you did.
I
Yeah, you did.
didn't
Yeah, you did.
cut
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
Breathe,
yeah, you did.
breathe,
yeah, you did.
breathe, exhale, at the same game.
There you go.
Yeah.
You cut me,
So,
now I'm getting cut.
Look,
just like Abraham. Hold on.
If you don't
I
want
told
me to
you.
talk,
Wait.
if you don't want me to
Abraham
talk,
got
you have a monologue
revelation
with your camera
and then
your
ignored
friends
it.
You can,
That's
you can
immoral.
Look at the camera and you can speak, okay?
Exhale.
Okay? Can I speak now?
Breathe, man.
So,
lower your heart rate.
yeah, all the Old Testament is legalizing. It never said something illegal for a man to have more than a wife. Nor the New Testament,
17:17.
nor the New Testament as well. No single verse is saying that marrying
One
more
man,
than
one
one
woman.
woman is forbidden. I'm challenging you in front of the camera here to bring one single verse from the Old Testament or the New Testament to say that explicitly, without any single shadow of a doubt, that marrying more than one woman is forbidden. Go ahead.
So,
one single verse from either the Old Testament or the New Testament.
So,
one single verse. Go ahead.
I have no problem showing it to you.
No
I have
discussion
3.
before bringing
One from the Old Testament and the New. However,
show me.
this is not the point I'm making.
No, this is the
I am
point.
not making
This
a
is the
point
point.
for having
This
more
is the
than
point.
one
you
wife.
are using your sources
Calm down.
to boost up
Breathe. I am not making an argument for this. This is not my argument. My argument is twofold.
Bring the
Slavery and adultery.
Bring the verse.
If you're following a man
Bring the
that is
verse.
allowing you
Bring the
to
verse.
practice slavery and adultery,
Bring the verse.
that is inherently immoral,
verse.
and you should not follow him.
Slavery existed at the time of Jesus. Slavery existed before Jesus.
How many slaves did Christ own?
Existed
If it
after
existed,
So
why
it's
did he
not a
own
problem
none?
of Islam.
How many slaves did he
You are
own?
jumping on some
How
question.
many slaves
Bring
did
a
Christ
single
or the
verse,
disciples
bring
own?
a single verse that's saying
Muhammad.
that
How many
marrying more than a
slaves
woman.
did Jesus
Marrying more
or
than a
his
woman,
followers own.
Marrying more than woman is forbidden. Show me what
That
sort
is
of
not
verse.
my argument.
It is.
So you're literally straw manning me.
You said that
I didn't make that argument.
You said Abraham made immoral action because
Yes.
he married another.
No, that is not what I said.
Show me.
You weren't listening to me, Muhammad.
Show me.
So I'll put myself.
Show me.
Abraham
Show me the verse.
acted immorally
This is your explanation.
because God
David,
came to him personally
my friend,
and told him
my friend,
that
if
I
you
would
don't
give
bring
you
the verse,
a
my friend-
child
No.
with your wife
This is your
Sarah.
explanation, David.
And then after God goes away from him,
we're speaking
he
about-
allows his wife Sarah
we're speaking about
to
religion.
pressure him
No, we're speaking about
into
religion.
having a child
We are
earlier
speaking about
with their
religion.
slave.
My friend.
So not only is he having a child with a woman who is not married
With all
to,
due respect.
but he is also negating what God
With all
told
due
him
respect, my
that
friend.
the son
My friend.
would come through Sarah.
My friend.
So
With
my
all due
take
respect.
was not that he had
No.
multiple wives.
You said
my
this
take
is
was
immoral.
that God
David,
told him to do
David,
something
David.
and he tried to circumvent God.
David, Lamish was the son of Adam, had also more than a wife. Okay. My point is that show me. Okay.
Well, it never said at the same time.
Show me.
So
Show
you
me, my
can't
friend.
tell me
No.
if it was,
Show me.
because for
show
example,
me.
Khadijah had more than one husband, but not at the same time. Same thing. See?
Show me.
Easy.
Show me when you said that this is immoral or this is immoral, and you give your own.
What did I say was
Show
immoral?
me that what David did, what Israel did, what
What-
Abraham did.
what did they do?
You said all of them they were immoral.
Yeah,
Just
what did they
like
do?
30 minutes ago. Okay.
What did they do?
Because of what the question that I asked.
What did they do?
So show me
No,
the
no.
action.
Tell me what they did.
Because they had more than a wife, or they practiced intimacy with like a slave.
That wasn't my take.
So
No.
why they were immoral?
Okay.
So having
So,
having sex with
to-
their female
to-
slave was
to-
okay, right?
to repeat
No,
again,
No,
right?
wait.
To repeat again.
Having a sex with their
Number
female
one,
slave was okay.
when it comes
Was
to
moral?
Abraham,
I got confused.
when it comes to
I
Abraham,
got confused.
let me help you.
I got confused.
When it comes to Abraham,
Immoral or
God
moral?
tells him that you will have a child with your wife. Abraham says okay in the initial term and then goes on to ignore God completely and have a child with his slave girl because his wife didn't believe in God.
Practicing this was moral or immoral?
If Allah tells you to do something
Was
and then
moral
you
or
try to
immoral?
circumvent it,
No, don't jump.
Well,
Look,
no,
if you
hold on.
answer, I will leave. I swear. Allah, this is the last
That's
time.
just you running.
This is the-
That's
okay,
just
I'm
you
running.
running.
Okay, I'm running. No problem. Was it moral or immoral? This action when he slept
disobeying
with his,
God.
No. When he slept with his
in sleeping with the slave, he's disobeying God, so it's immoral.
When Abraham bisbabun him,
I already answered
he slept
you.
with his slave,
I already answered
female
you.
slave, and had a son from her. Was it moral
I
or
already
immoral?
answered you.
I didn't hear it.
Well, maybe you should have heard it the first time.
Moral or immoral?
I already answered you.
Moral
so,
or immoral?
when it comes to
Moral, say in the camera,
somebody
in the
following,
camera, in the camera.
I already
so,
said in the camera.
when Abraham
the camera
slept
heard
with
me.
his female slave and had a son from her,
You keep
was
yelling, that's
this
why you can't hear me.
moral or immoral?
Maybe if you stop yelling, you
Moral
can
or
hear.
immoral? My friend, I have to leave. You're not answering, okay? It was nice talking to you.
So
when you answer, I will come back
I
to you.
answered you.
No, you didn't.
And
You
all
did
you
moral
did
or
was carry on
immoral?
yelling.
Moral or
So
immoral?
this entire
No,
conversation,
no discussion.
you've been running from the
No,
following.
I'm not running.
Premise
Your
one.
criteria is
The Quran
collapsed.
tells
Your
you-
criteria is collapsed. You know why? Because when you bring the law, you will know that this was moral. Then khalas, there's no
No,
discussion anymore.
because number one,
My
the
friend,
Quran
if you
tells
don't
you
want to
that you are
answer,
not a
there's no
Muslim
discussion.
if you don't follow Muhammad in all his ways. So when Muhammad does immoral things like sleeping with slaves or having more than one wife, you follow him. Cool. In summary, so I was having a conversation, a long-running one, and it was funny how they wanted to run away from it. But in running away, we covered quite a few different things. My point remains that it started off with a woman and I think her child. Effectively, she told me that there was no need in Islam for a middleman. That's what made Islam beautiful. So I told her that there is a middleman. His name is Muhammad. And she told me no. So I showed her Surah 65, Ayah 4, where it tells you that you are not a believer, a mu'min, or a Muslim if you do not submit to everything that Muhammad says in total submission. So in order for you to actually go to God or be with Allah, you must first go through a middleman, Muhammad, and submit to everything he says. Now she refused, she ran away, and then the three guys here took issue with that. So we talked about it. I said that if you are supposedly following Muhammad and all that he does, and Muhammad commands you to do something immoral, example, sleeping with your slave girl, even if you're married, they then ran all around the world in 4 different ways. And then started giving me definitions of adultery. Now for them, or at least for the guy in the middle, Muhammad, adultery requires you to sleep with somebody outside of 2 criteria or 2 bubbles. your wife or wives and that which Uriah possesses. Now, this is nonsense because adultery is blatantly having extramarital affairs. You're not married to your slaves, so sleeping with them equals adultery. And I asked him, what about a woman? Can a woman sleep with her male slave? Oh, apparently no, you can't do that. That's adultery. So why is it adultery for the man, for the woman, but not for the man? It's the same action, having extramarital affairs. There we go. And then they ran from that. They ran everywhere. They ran to the Hadiths. I chased them. I caught them. They ran to the Sirah. I chased them. I caught them. They ran to freaking Imam Shafi. I chased them. And I caught them. And then it ended up here with him trying to strawman me, claiming that my overall point was that having multiple wives is immoral. Now, it is certainly not ideal. And like I told him, the leaders of Israel were actually prohibited in Deuteronomy 17:17 from multiplying wives. So when David and Solomon do it, they are not following God in an action. So, if you're following a man, I guess, let me rewind. Luckily for us, we're not bound to follow Solomon and David in everything they say in total submission and everything that they do. If we were, then we would be screwed like they are. But they follow Muhammad, who does immoral things, and they are supposed to submit to the immoral things that he does without questioning them, including adultery and the harming of your slaves because they insult him. And the harming of children. Those things are all immoral because they are not having you pursue the good, aka wish the betterment for somebody else, and that good is God. So to wish good or to do good is to wish God for somebody else. Are you wishing God for somebody when you cheat on your wife with a slave?
No.
Are you wishing God for somebody when you force a slave into prostitution?
No.
Are you wishing God for somebody when you take on multiple wives when Christ said to join with only one? No. And that is how we know what is immoral and what is not, because if it does not wish the good for the other person, the good being God, then that action is immoral.
That's right.
Simple as that.
Well done, Doctor. Well done.
It's what it is. W's in the chat. All right. Well, God bless.